Hey, this is Matt. Welcome to another episode of Unbearable 73. So, a new sort of teaser trailer for Wheel of Prime dropped up at the end of season 1, episode 8. They added it in there. Um, Steve, the Prophet of the Dragons, had a really great breakdown and whatever on it. You know, obviously, more in the outrage sense. The show is just outrageous. It was bad from the very opening line of the first episode, the very first sentence. But that being said, there's some thoughts I want to share on it. This is more of an off the top of my head type of thing rather than very scripted. I want to point out a few things, you know. So let's get right into it. I have it muted, but with subtitles playing so you can see right along. And there's not a lot in it. I mean, okay. Can we have it any more obvious that we're going into a six-pointed star building? Like, why would you build a building that way? This is probably a reference to something in the books, I'm sure, or obscure reference, but I did know I'm just randomly playing in the dark in a medieval time. There are no adults around to monitor me. Not at all. Oh, look, there's a symbol on the ground, a mysterious symbol. No parents monitoring me. I'm in the middle of the dark, in the middle of the village. Not only am I, not only am I, I'm a female. I'm a young female. I'm empowered. I'll just run into this building here, where a bunch of people are meeting, right? In a secret meeting where they don't lock the door or use the one power to bar the door, right? And of course, this is Ishmael, who was released at the end of the previous episode. So this okay. There's a lot of stupid so far. Okay, and we want to talk about the stupid, but and not so much the changes to the story itself, because the fact that they had this to work with and ignored it, um, the fact that they had that and said they think they could do better than Robert Jordan, that they could make something better than his best-selling series, right? Let's just forget that for a second. Okay? Let's just focus in on, let's pretend the books never existed. Let's analyze the writing in front of us itself, okay? It's clearly well after dark, right? This is a medieval setting, yeah, okay? Yet your 10-year-old girl child is just wandering and playing in the dark by herself. Not even like right outside your hut or wherever you live, right? She's just randomly wandering around the city, not even the small town where you live, okay? And you won't let her around a small town because there are wolves and bears out at night, and which will drag children off. Okay, that's the reason why we drove bears, particularly grizzly bears, out of human areas. That's the reason why we drove wolves to extinction, because they hunted people. Leaving all that aside, okay, you let her wander. There's no adult near monitoring this little girl. She somehow gets into a building with a secret meeting where the door is neither locked nor barred with the one power, okay? Let's waive that. Let's pretend. She runs under the table and none of these powerful, evil people notice her. Until Ishmael does. Now, I do have something positive to say about this in a set later, but I want to get to the negatives. Now, okay. So this is the Black Aja. That's you know by the rings or whatever, right? But and yes, they would not interrupt him for any reason. They know better than to interrupt. Whatever he's doing, I mean, he could pull this little girl's arms off and beat someone to death with them. He could let her go. He could do whatever he wants because there's no one in that room or altogether who could stop him. Okay, and he's that pretty much powerful. Now we know this occurs after the end of season 1 because of the reference that Ishmael gave. Why are the Trollocs standing still like they're robots? That's not how Trollocs would behave. And if they're guarding, why are they looking inward and not outward? You know, like why were they hiding in the middle of the mist before the little girl wandered in, but now they're standing there clearly? That's basically bad writing. Now, they're stupid. I know what they're doing here, okay? Well, I know, I'm guessing to 95% accuracy what they're doing, okay? By the way, the Trollocs look like Beastman from He-Man in the 1980s. So, what is the point of this scene? We can close that out. We don't need that anymore. So, I know what they're doing. They don't like the way Jordan framed things in Wheel of Time. Meaning there's a certain moral perspective that Jordan framed things in, okay? And it was fairly black and white. He did provide nuance, but only if he could show you the nuance through the eyes of a character. So when Rand was going on his psychological journeys, we got nuance. When Nynaeve was, we got nuance. When Lan was, we got nuance, right? And there were one or two of certain bad guy characters we got that with, right? Lanfear, for example, and what's his face. We saw their perspective. When we could see their perspective, he would give nuance to their character, okay? But when he couldn't show you their perspective because they were real to the story, they were a less nuanced character. It doesn't mean they have character. Everyone has a character journey, even the bad guys. But he understood that you have to be able to show what they're thinking and doing in order to understand that sort of character journey, okay? So he didn't have vast psychological character journeys for most of the Forsaken, for example, because he just couldn't show it on screen. If you can't show it, there's no point in writing it. Therefore, don't include it, right? So, but the point of fact is, even though he had nuance to some of the characters, even some of the evil ones, even to the Dark One himself, okay, even to the point, the thing to understand is there was very little, like, there's different types of morality, right? There's pure good and evil, nothing in between. Then there's, lesser of two evils. Then there's no good or evil, that what we call good is just the least gray of all I mean, Jordan had a fairly set standard. There were things that were definitely good and things that were definitely bad. Yes, there were some things that were ambiguous, but then you came to the principle of the lesser of two evils and the greater good and all sort of stuff to resolve that. There was very little murkiness, and the murkiness usually arose because the character had psychological damage and just was incapable of making the least worst choice, so to speak, or didn't want to live with it, right? That's a large part of Rand's journey, by the way. So, the people who are doing this show don't have that world viewpoint, and they're ignoring what he wrote to make their version of it, and they're inserting a viewpoint of what appears to be, well, doing one of two things. Either they're stealing the storyline from Terry Goodkind's Sword of Truth series, and basically Ishmael is Dark and Raoul recruiting a Mord Sith type of thing. That's how the Mord Sith recruiting started, when they would take these innocent girls and he would be nice to them at first, and then leave them down the road of darkness and make them sort of these evil psychotic warriors. Or what Dark and Raoul did with that kid when he had to use him for a particular ceremony to get to the underworld, right? Either he's doing that, where they stole the Sword of Truth storyline, or they're going with the whole the evil people are just misunderstood. Yeah, they're evil, but from our perspective type of evil, And they're not doing anything intelligent with this. I could see, like now I'm going to play devil's advocate. I'm going to pretend, using my vast time travel powers because I'm really from the 30th century, and I with super technology, I'm a cyborg. So you have it built into me. I'm going to time travel right now. I'm going to go back and kill Hitler. Then I'm going to jump forward and take out Rafe Johnson. And then I'm going to transform myself using 30th century nanotechnology into Rafe Johnson. But 2 years ago, so I can take over running this show. So that means I produced a great show. Okay, I've used my time traveling powers to do it. You all now know. You never heard of the bad Wheel of Prime. You have award-winning Robert Jordan beloved Wheel of Time season 1 has occurred, which had the plot of the books and had better casting and everything. Okay, and the whole world loved it. And Amazon made $1 trillion off of it, and we love Amazon. Okay, so in that context of my time travel, right? If you think about this scene, this could be a scene that is done very well, okay? Because think of Ishmael's character, right? He's basically like he could be in a room of 30 Aes Sedai and he could vaporize almost all of them in seconds. And there's rarely they could do about it. The only character as or more powerful than him in terms of pure one power channeling ability is Rand. Okay? And Ishmael has access to more. He has access to more abilities that Rand doesn't, so to speak. Plus, he doesn't suffer from the taint, right? So, from those perspectives, what Ishmael needs a character motivator. He can't get more powerful. Like you can't train like Naruto train and go from being able to add something onto your Rasen Shuriken and make it a Super Rasen Shuriken, or you can't Dragon Ball Z time channel super gravity chain and achieve. He can't achieve Super Forsaken level 2 or anything like that. He's maxed out as a power level, right? So but his ego, an ego of this type of character, wants to gain power, right? So, and I mean Tolkien depicted it very well. Sauron was maxed out in terms of his power, in terms of raw power, so he wanted to gain power, so he came up with the plan with the rings. Well, from that perspective, Ishmael could be saying his motivation to gain power would be, I need more power. So I need, one way you gain power is the Charles Manson style, followers. So this scene will be very interesting if it were not right at the end of season 1, but rather a flashback to maybe, you'd have to do with him in season 1, but make the character a little older. He recruits them, and now we know that the Ishmael in particular has a whole bunch of minions out there doing his dirty work for him, who are loyal to him. Those of you who understand how Orochimaru had great loyalty from even the people he experimented upon, because he treated them like treasures, but understanding that if he had to do an experiment, he had to do it, right? But he when Orochimaru took you under his protection, he protected you. That's the thing about it that people don't realize the way Kishimoto wrote it. He was flawed evil, but when he took you in his protection, no one messed with you. Anyway, that will be an interesting approach from a psychological point of view. Remember, in my universe, in the universe now where I've used my time travel powers to erase Wheel of Prime, and we have Wheel of Matt, so which is much better, right? So that would have been an interesting approach to take with the character, right? And that would not in any way detract from what Jordan did, because we'd be showing Ishmael's journey with a scene like this. And if you think about what Jordan did with his characters, as I said, when he could show their journey, he would show a lot of nuance to it. When he couldn't, he didn't waste your time with something you couldn't see, right? So that could be, an interesting take, which would be interesting. Now, I don't know. It's like every time, but that's too much. That is way too much for them to have possibly written. They're just idiots, and there's no way. You know what I mean? There's no way that they were intelligent enough to think that. And we know that because they've already ruined it the first season. Okay, I said this again. The very first sentence in the prequel. Well, you know what? I'm going to call it up just to call it up. Wheel of Prime, Season 1. Go back to Episode 1. Okay. Subs are on. This is when we get to Moraine's voiceover. Nope. That's wrong. Right there. Right there. That sentence right there is wrong. Okay? They understood the breaking of the world. Off the rails on the crazy from that very first sentence. You know what? That is season 1, episode 0. Let's. Okay, so that was episode 0. Let's skip this. Let's go to episode 1. Why is episode 1 not playing? Oh, because I hit the origin stories. Wheel of Time, season 1. Episodes. Here we go. So if you didn't see episode, sorry, I meant that. So if you didn't see episode, that was episode 0, the backstory. Wrong from the first sentence, right? Now let's get further wrong. A lot of people key on this second sentence as where it went wrong. But no. Let's go back again. This is where it went wrong. Okay? It went wrong before even that second sentence. And it's like, so they can't fix, well, that's their show. See, I transfer us back to the Wheel of Time universe, Wheel of Prime universe. But in the Wheel of Prime universe, the show cannot be fixed. There's nothing they can do in this season that can fix it, right? So I have to use my magic powers, my superpowers, and put us back into the universe anytime we want to talk about something good about this. Right? But that's how ridiculous it has to be. Because they in any case, those are my thoughts about the trailer. Horribly written. Your 10-year-old daughter wandering in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of a city, in the medieval times. I mean, we have trouble with human trafficking in a modern world. You think in a medieval setting that girl is going to make it home that night? I doubt it. It's not like Batman was out there, protecting the innocent children wandering in the dark with no adults at night, right? Medieval Batman. Thank you. My name is Matt. This has been a random Unbearable 73 reaction. Have a nice day, and I am out of here.